Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm DarkJack, and in this video I'm playing some Black Ops 2 in the map Raid, and I'm going to talk to you guys today about why I don't play free-to-play games, and instead I prefer the buy once model rather than the free-to-play or the subscription model. Now, when I play free-to-play games, in general, I feel like I'm playing a demo version of the game rather than the full version. And when you play a free-to-play game, you have to keep in mind that there are no free-to-play games. There is no such thing as a free game. Let me repeat that. There is no such thing as a free game. Every game that is free to play uses the microtransaction or ad revenue model in order to make money. They have to make money somehow in order to eat. Because game developers need to be paid. They need to be able to eat and feed their families. And if free-to-play games had no way to make money, then free-to-play games would not exist. They have to have a steady source of revenue in order to stay in business, because game development is extremely expensive. In order to make a game, you have to spend millions of dollars in order to pay the developers of the game, in order to pay license fees, in order to pay fees to use a game engine, in order to support a game over time, in order to patch a game, in order to fix bugs, in order to add content, and you have to pay for the building that the game is designed in, as well as the hardware. And all that is very expensive, as well as taxes. And without a steady source of income, game development companies would go out of business. So let me give you an example of a free-to-play game that I think uses a very exploitative model. And that is PlanetSide 2. In PlanetSide 2, which is a, generally from what I've heard, very good game, it is a free-to-play PC online shooter, which is also an MMO. And the guns in that game cost $7 each, and then $5 in order to customize them. And in order to buy a gun using the in-game currency, it is going to take you at least 50 plus hours of grinding in order to buy a single gun. Because games that are free to play are designed in such a way that it gives you an incentive to spend real-world money on them rather than to grind. Because it takes a ridiculous amount of grinding in order to buy something. Because eventually you're going to reach a breaking point in the game where the game is no longer fun to play until you have upgraded your gun or character, or your weapon, depending on the type of game, using real-world currency, because it's not worth it to spend 50 hours for a single upgrade. And if there was no temptation to spend real-world money on the game, the company that makes the game would go out of business. They would go bankrupt, because they have to create that temptation to spend real-world money. And so at first, when you're playing a free-to-play game, it may be perfectly fine, but over time, you're going to get bored of the game, and in order to keep having fun, or in order to win, you will have to spend in-game currency or real-world money to have fun. And real in-game currency just doesn't make any sense because you have to spend so much of it and you have to grind for so long for a one-time upgrade. And when you play a free-to-play game, you never truly know how much money you have to spend. And you end up losing track of how much money you have spent on these games. And in PlanetSide 2, for example, if you want to buy everything in the game, it costs over $320. Not including all the customization options, in order to get all the guns. Over $300. And when you play a free-to-play game, you are only getting a partial version of the game. The full version is behind a paywall, and you have to spend money in order to unlock the full game. So free-to-play games are essentially demo versions of the game, until you spend money. And in free-to-play games, there is always a catch behind everything. And you have to spend money on microtransactions and DLC for the full experience in order for those companies to stay alive. And when I play a free-to-play game, I feel like I'm always being pestered for money. When I tried League of Legends, for example, the game will not stop sending me emails. And I keep getting emails from them because I've stopped playing, saying, "You have been away from the fields of justice for too long," always asking me to come back to the game so I can spend money on it. And I can't unsubscribe from these emails because I signed the terms of service agreement in order to try out the game. And because of that, I can't stop getting emails. And it's also the same for Xbox Live. When you sign the terms of service agreement for Xbox Live, they keep sending you emails that have advertisements on them, and you can't unsubscribe from those emails because you signed the agreement. And then also, when I play a game, I want peace of mind. When I play a game, I want to know that I've spent money on it, and therefore I can have access to the entire game without having to spend microtransactions or DLC. And it's the same reason why people don't like microtransactions in full-price retail games, because they've already spent money on it. and you never really know how much a game costs. I want to be able to spend $60 and then have freedom of mind knowing that I have access to everything in it, rather than always being pestered for money through DLC or microtransactions. And if DLC is done right, then I think it can be a good thing, like in the DLC for Borderlands or for the DLC in Red Dead Redemption. And when I play a free-to-play game, it just feels exploitative. And you see these ridiculous offers in games that are designed to take advantage of rich and lazy people who just want to buy their victory through easy mode microtransactions. And in the game Neverwinter, for example, which is an MMO, you can spend $199 on the Founders Pack. And what that does is it gives you access to an armored spider mount and lots of cool in-game items. But who in their right mind would spend $200 on an in-game spider mount on a free-to-play MMO that probably only has a year-and-a-half life cycle? Because when I play a game, I want to be able to unlock everything in it through my effort rather than through my wallet. And the reason why they're free-to-play is because the developers of the game know that it would not sell at retail for $60. Games that are free-to-play for a reason, and most of them are terrible in quality. Because when I play a game, I want peace of mind. I don't like the free-to-play or the subscription model for easy mode microtransactions. I want to unlock everything old style through my effort rather than through my wallet. So that in a nutshell is why I don't like the free-to-play model, and instead I prefer the buy once model. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later.